These days, the world is chaotic and random. Misinformation, tricks. Not to mention chaotic recap shows about Ted Lasso. There's only one person who could properly hold the guilty accountable. Me. I'm that person.
I'm Sam Roenick, and this is Talkin Talkin Ted. Thank you so much for tuning into episode 10 of Talkin Talkin Ted. I'm your host, Sam Roenick. I'm a journalist, documentarian, troubadour for the truth, aka Truthbadour. That ominous theme music you heard, that's care of fellow cargo boy Maestro. Thank you so very much for that spooky music. Very appropriate for 1st of October. Very good. Back in August, I wrote an article about how Talkin Ted can't save us. I just didn't have the faith in the host, in spite of his kind-heartedness and his dad joke wordplay games, that the momentum could be kept for the entire 12-episode Ted Lasso season. And I gotta say, there were some real good episodes. And then episode 8 happened. Talkin Ted Danson. I mean, he proved to us that he's a host that doesn't even discuss the core subject matter of the show with his guests. Furthermore, in the show, he spent a whole lot of time talking about Becker. He could have talked about Bored to Death. He could have talked about Curb Your Enthusiasm. He could have talked about the beloved franchise 3 Men and a Little Lady / Baby. I mean, the host loves talking about conspiracy theories. He could have spent 8 minutes just talking about the supposed ghost in the background of that one scene. Then came episode 9, where he thought it would be a relevant move to pay homage to the Dogma 95 film movement by removing the episode's special effects. First off, it's absolutely pretentious to show off your knowledge of mid-90s European art cinema. Secondly, he absolutely did not pay homage to the Dogma 95 movement because, as we see here, he's clearly using artificial light sources. The camera is on a tripod. It is not handheld. And what do we hear throughout the episode? Oh yes, non-diegetic music. Thomas Vinterberg would be spinning in his grave if he wasn't still alive and thriving. But I have to come clean. I didn't come here to just bury Talkin Ted. I came to show him how it's done. This is going to be a show with multiple guests. We're going to open up the phone lines and the Zoom lines. Let's get some callers on the air to really talk some Ted. And we're going to be discussing episode 10, No Weddings and a Funeral, which I gotta say, I was not much the fan of. I don't believe the funeral Rickroll worked, aka the funeral. It felt too reverse engineered. Like the writer's room were really excited about having a funeral with Rick Astley, and then they sort of like worked their way backward. It felt too manufactured for me. Another thing, the love triangle forming between Roy and Jamie and Keeley once again. The last thing we saw between Jamie and Roy was in Man City, that beautiful hug. And we get nothing afterwards? We just go right into this love triangle, like pretending that these two characters are Jack and Sawyer from Lost? I mean, come on. Now, speaking of, I have to tip my hat to the host of Talkin Ted because he has been constantly referencing Lost in his show, and I do believe that every single recap show ought to reference Lost as often as possible. Especially the seasons 4 and 5, I will not hear any slander about those perfect creations. But I digress. Let's get to our first caller. We got Nancy on the line. Nancy, how you doing today?
Howdy, I'm good. How are you?
I mean, I'm good, but, I'm talking about an episode that I'm not so much the fan of. Tell me, how did you feel about No Weddings and a Funeral?
I don't feel great. I won't lie. I was really expecting a lot to really be happening hard and fast at this point of the season. At this point in the game, I'm kind of like, what the hell are they doing?
No, I'm with you. I think they are packing too many plot lines in. I think they are rushing some certain wonderful things. Nancy, what do you think the show is rushing?
I feel like it's honestly been rushing just about everything at this point. They've done a really good job with the buildup, specifically Sam and Rebecca's relationship. They've been working on establishing that for a long time. I was very disappointed by how quickly they seem to move through those things in this episode. I feel like one of the things that this season has really overwhelmingly reminded me of is how the writing on a show like Lost just proceeded to break down into the later seasons. It didn't just jump the shark, like it really, really went off the rails, I think.
Off the rails, you say? Well, guess what? You are off the air. Sorry, Nancy, I will not have any slander about seasons 4 and 5 on this show. I have already mentioned. All right. On to our next caller. This is Lindsay, and she is the self-described president of the Roy Kent fan club.
Okay, self-described sounds like you're undermining the legitimacy of my operation.
I mean, that's fair, but tell me, would other people describe you as such?
No, but maybe they just haven't asked.
So, Lindsay, let's talk about Roy Kent, and why the affinity towards him? Why him and not Ted?
I mean, Roy's just, like, if you think of Ted, like, he's kind of like that fluffy white cloud in the sky, like, perfectly fine. And then Roy Kent has this, like, gray rain cloud kind of action that comes in and just has a lot more going on, a lot more kinds of weather inside him. I'm going to really pursue this cloud analogy.
That is 100% valid, and I will give that to you. Let's talk about the remainder of Ted Lasso Season 2. Leading up to the finale, where do you think we are going?
I don't think anyone knows where it's going from here. I don't even think that the writers really have a sense when you're throwing in like the same love triangle that you've already had, or your Coach Beard dancing in a club. It just it reminds me so much of Lost. Like there's the plane crash, there was a mysterious smoke monster, and they kept saying like we know where we're going with Lost, and at a certain point in the later seasons you're like, you don't know where you're going.
Well, I know where we're going with this interview, and that is you being disconnected. I'm sorry, Lindsay. Once again, cardinal rule of this show, no slander about seasons 4 and 5 of Lost. All right, we got our first phone caller, so Johnny, patch him through. Hello, caller.
Hi, is this Sammy?
Yes, it is.
You!
Sometimes we have a few jokers calling in, a little youthful, rebellious energy. It's a lot of fun. I like that. He's called in every week. You can't remember the number? Let's talk about the country of England. Ted Lasso has took place in England for its first 2 seasons. I personally think enough already. We've seen enough England, all right? James Bond movies, Benedict Cumberbatch, Brexit, Bangers and Mash. I think we could do a change of geography. And we got a person on the Zoom line. This is Holt. All right, Holt, how you doing? Let's talk about England.
I'm good. And actually, it's quite offensive. The things that you're saying. You want to take off. You want to take off. I can't believe you. Really. You start this series, and you go off, and now you want to go in a completely different direction. I can't believe that.
Okay, come on. Okay, Holt, I appreciate your passion, but come on. Enough already with England, okay? I've seen enough, and I think other people have seen enough as well, all right? I'm sorry, that's just how I feel.
People can never get enough of England, you know what I'm saying? I am a Manchester U guy. I've always been a Beckham fan. I've always been a fan of the Globe Theatre, Buckingham Palace, the Ferris wheel, the London Eye, Wimbledon. Are you kidding?
Okay, do not get me started on tennis. Okay, you already did. Okay, in the game, we got, when somebody starts, we're at 0-0, sure. If someone scores their first point, they have 15 points. That's a whole other thing. But their opponent, at 0, they have love points? The game of tennis is equating love with nothingness. Your response?
Well, I think what they're trying to say is like, love is one of those things that when you reach, it can't be defined. I think that's what they're trying to say. It's one of those things where they say love, well, it's a feeling, but I can't quite describe it or quantify it. So maybe that's just 0. Maybe I just can't, You've got to think more deeply, my man.
Holt, that was damn poetic of you. Thank you very much for changing my mind on the scoring of tennis. All right, let's on to our next caller.
Hello, Sammy. Aren't you the same guy who stole a box of cornflakes and then got his ass kicked last Christmas?
No. Looks like some more foolishness from some rabble-rousing youth calling in on the show. Strike 2. Strike two. Okay. Now, let's talk about binge watching. All right. Season 1, people just gobbled up these episodes all in one go. But is it good for society? Next caller, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm feeling good. Thank you very much. What are you watching these days?
I love comedy. I'm a big comedy person. So Staff Let's Flats is amazing. British show, Game Face, Ghosts. I'm watching a new show called Sort of. Strays is a great show. It's a spin-off of Kim's Convenience.
Those are all fine shows, at least the ones that I've seen. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that the consistent thread between all of those shows, that those are all shows on CBC and CBC Gem.
Yes, that's correct.
Tell me this, caller. Do you also work for the CBC?
I do. I absolutely do. And I love working there. It's great.
Okay, caller, this is a show that's all about authenticity. In order for your opinions to be truly valid, I'm going to need you to recommend some shows that are not from CBC, the place where you work. So could you recommend some non-CBC shows?
Yeah. Yeah, I probably could.
Great. Would you?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
I respect your integrity. Thank you very much, caller. In spite of that fan of television, I do feel that binge watching is tearing our society apart and starts in our home lives. So we got ourselves a married couple with some differing views on binge watching. We got Derek and Shauna on the line. Derek and Shauna, you are live. How you doing?
Great to be here. Really excited to talk about just the merits of binge watching. It's been huge for our relationship. And Ted Lasso has really been kind of a connector. We've had some tough times lately, but I feel the act of watching this together, it's just improved things from my perspective.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Binge watching has its merits, but I also, want to talk about some other things that are important, like, I don't know, being outside, for instance. That would be good.
I think for me, like, I'm somebody who understands the value of nesting, I guess is the way that I would say it. And for me, perfect night you got for me, I'm going to order some food, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch a show, I'm going to talk about it. I don't want to be, if I want to be outside, I'd be an animal. Am I an animal? Is that like, we've talked about this with Dr. Stevenson. I don't know why you're bringing this up right now.
You're wearing a hat. Why don't you make it useful and go outside once in a while? I'm kind of tired of being stuck inside all day long. And it's actually nice outside. Let's enjoy it before the snow comes. Why are we nesting now? We're not animals. Why are we nesting? Throwing that back to you.
I'm just saying you don't have to watch the shows with me. Like, you don't have to. Like,
when will I see you if I'm not here binging shows? When will I see you?
If you need your own time outside, why did we have Jerry move into the basement to watch shows with me? Jerry, get over here. Jerry, come in. Move over. Move. Have a seat. It's my bro, Jerry. Jerry, what's up? The first thing we said is, if she doesn't want to watch the show with me, why can't I bring a friend, live in the basement? Now I can watch my shows. Do you have something to say that? I found a solution.
I'm solution oriented. I have to deal with? This is the problem of binge watching.
I was about to say, people that binge watch are wankers. You're a wanker, Derek. A wanker.
Are you kidding?
He's turning on you. He knows that it's ridiculous.
Okay, so now it makes sense. But you know what? Last time I saw you outside, who was with you? Jerry. What the hell are you doing outside with my wife?
That's my business.
Do you understand what I'm dealing with right here? Do you understand what the problem is? I'm trying to do something to relax, and I have to worry about this.
That proves my point. In extremely vivid and explicit terms. Thank you very much, Derek and Shauna and Jerry, for calling in. All right. Well, I think we have time for one more caller. Johnny, if this is that crank caller again, I don't care who you're related to, okay? It's done. I don't care who your father is. All right, caller, who do we have on the line?
Hi, Sammy. This is Mike from Talkin Ted.